Right, it's in here somewhere. Ah, there it is. I was just about to say, guess which game this is, but of course you already know because you've seen the title of the video. Look at that, what a smart board. They went to the effort of etching in the Super Mario Brothers name and a little picture as well. So this is a Commodore 64 cartridge, and of course it contains Super Mario Brothers. This is a conversion that was in the works for about 7 years, and it was finally released in 2019. Nintendo don't really want this to be available, so it's quite difficult to even find a download for it. Although you can find a download if you know where to look. Some smart person has put it on a cartridge, and they've even put a reset button on there. But I just thought I'd put it inside a donor case. And I'm using an Amstrad Plus controller, but for some reason I can't use button 2 on this controller even when I select the option to use a second button. So I will end up having to play it pressing up to jump and 1 for run or shoot. And now if you're wondering why the heck I'm using a controller like this, it's just become the default controller for me for most of my computers. After you use it for a little while, it does get a little bit softer. When you first get them, they are very stiff and they're not great controllers, but they are a lot better than people say they are. Oh yeah, you can see there, from 2012 to 2019, 0 page. It took 0 page a long time to get this finished. I did look on the internet, there was this work in progress video on YouTube, and a lot of people were convinced that it was fake, but it turned out it's real. I guess this came about as a test to convert Super Mario Brothers as accurately as possible. Here we are, Super Mario Brothers. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try not to embarrass myself. This looks so much like the original Super Mario Brothers game. It's really quite remarkable. A lot of Commodore 64 games look really ugly. Well, that's just my personal opinion, but I'll try to explain. Even though the Commodore 64 is quite close to the NES in many ways, it does have a lot more limitations. If you wanted to have the same resolution when you're drawing your graphics, you are actually limited to only 2 colours in a like an 8x8 block. To get more colours than that, you have to draw your pixels double width to be able to get 4 colours in every block. So most Commodore 64 games chooses more colours, and so the graphics are all kind of really chunky with double length pixels. But it also has sprites, and the sprites just sort of sit on top of that.
Of course, the level layouts are identical as well. And the full game is here. The full game of Super Mario Brothers is actually a really small game, so you could probably fit the entire game just into the Commodore 64's memory. So what I mean by that is that it's got 64 kilobytes of RAM. You could probably fit the whole game into 64 kilobytes. World 1-3. Actually, I'm not all that familiar with these levels because I usually go to the warp zone at the top of 1-2. Of course, I've got this on my NES. I don't know if I've ever done a video of it. There are times where I do the recording. I record footage for a video and then I just never turn it into a video because playing the game is the most fun part of doing video, funnily enough. But what usually happens is that I'll do really well and I think I'm going to finish this without losing a life. I'll hit a sticking point where I lose all of my lives on the same level. Yeah, let's get this mushroom. You can see the fire is a little bit flickery. They don't appear until they're already about halfway across the screen. But I think I know the reason for that. The Commodore 64 is quite similar to the NES, but it's also quite a lot less capable. So the first thing is that the processor is almost half the speed of the NES one, but also it only has 8 sprites. I think the NES can put 64 sprites on screen. Commodore 64 can only put 8 on screen, and you can get around that by using tricks to reuse sprites. If you like really quickly reposition it as the screen's being drawn, you can fake having more than 8. So I think there has to be quite a lot of tricky sprite management to convert this game over to the Commodore 64. Right, so I'm on World 2 now. The graphics don't change a whole lot from level to level in this, but there are some very subtle changes. It really does slow down a lot. It is really quite bad. I'm playing this on a standard Commodore 64, And it's a shame really that the game maybe it wasn't possible to optimize it, but it's a shame it wasn't optimized to get rid of all of the slowdown, because this is clearly the most common computer that anybody's going to be playing this on, unless most people are going to play it on an emulator. But this is compatible with the Commodore 128, which has got a faster processor. But really, I think, and this is a very small criticism, I think if you're making a game for a machine, you really do have to put the effort into optimizing it for that machine.
I was going to say before I started doing this video that I've been having trouble with my sound on my Commodore 64. I replaced the sound chip because it started having missing sounds. So I replaced it, but the replacement started having trouble too, and I just haven't used my Commodore 64 for a while, and I only got it out to do this video. But actually, it sounds perfectly fine right now for some reason. And they've converted the music and the sound effects really accurately, which should be fairly easy to do, I think, because the Commodore 64 sound chip is really quite versatile. You do have a lot of options, and I think it can recreate pretty much anything that the NES can do, but it just can't play as many sounds at the same time. You'll have to excuse my croaky voice because I've got a bit of a cold at the moment.
Now, quite honestly, I think this is amazing. Oh, I've got the fireworks. I forget the rules for getting the fireworks. Isn't it that the two end digits of your score have to be the same, or the two end digits of your time have to be the same? That doesn't give me the firepower if I'm a small Mario. I guess those rules are the same.
When you think about it, this game is absolutely ancient. 1985 is when the original Super Mario Brothers was released. There must have been a lot of thought put into this game to make it what it is, because it's quite a leap from games that came before it. I mean, Pac-Land is a scrolling platform game that came before Super Mario Brothers. This might have been inspired by that a little bit, but it's clearly very different. But if you go any further back than that, then most games were just single screen games. The most famous British games that were platform games were usually inspired by Manic Miner and Jet Set Willy, which is only about a year or two before Super Mario Brothers. So today it still feels very modern. And you know what? I really like certain things about this game. You get like tiny little rewards for little things that you do in the game. So a lot of games, and actually a lot of Commodore 64 games, are very, very simple, and the challenge might be just to survive the onslaught of stuff coming at you, and the enemies don't really have any proper AI, so they're just there on the screen getting in the way. But there's such a lot of extra design in Super Mario Brothers. So it might be something like avoiding all of the fish on the bridge, or avoiding the spinning fire obstacles. You've got Bowser at the end of the level shooting fire at you, but it's all sort of specifically designed. If you get hit by it, it's your own fault. You can feel good about avoiding all the obstacles and being fast enough to jump up to a higher platform so you can collect those coins, or things like that. So compared to a lot of games, even games that came after it, Super Mario Brothers is a really, really good game from just a design point of view.
And I'll end it there. Thank you for watching.